Hey.
That is a disgusting act by Randy Moss.
He did what?
Jackpot, baby!
Ice up, son. Ice up. That is blasphemous. You can put it on the board. Yes.
And the Titans. That was a disgusting act by the Titans to open the season. The Raiders. Jackpot, baby. More like a flush so far. More teams not having such a great start. Some teams are looking unbeatable. And things have already changed from what I thought was going to happen in week 1 till now. We've only played 2 games, and things have already changed quite a bit. So in the AFC North, we'll just start there, as I always do with these kinds of things, because sure, the Ravens are in that division, and yeah, that's the team I root for, but it's not looking too good in the AFC North for really any team. Actually, no, for any team, it's not looking good at all. And the Ravens, all they really need to do to win the division this year is just learn how to keep a lead. That's it. If they can just learn how to hold a lead, very similar to like what the Bills and the Eagles did last night. If they can do that, they're going to win this division by a mile, an absolute mile. The Bengals are crashing and burning fast. They're on the brink of being in serious trouble if they aren't already, losing to the Steelers and to the Cowboys with Cooper Rush and that was not good for them. So this week 3 game is a must-win for them if they're going to have any chance of going to the playoffs, much less having a similar season to what they did last year. The Browns, they need to not lose to the Jets and teams like them. It's that simple. They need to keep their head above water until Watson comes back for them to have any chance to do anything serious this season. And the Steelers, just like always, are going to be a tough out every single week. And that's just the way it's going to be. Who do I think is going to win the division? I think week 1, I was saying it was a coin toss between the Bengals, Ravens. And right now, I'm saying the Ravens just because the other 3 teams have not, made me think otherwise yet. And again, if the Ravens were in any other division, I probably wouldn't be saying that. And it's not just because I'm a Ravens fan, but I mean, honestly, what does everybody else say right now? You know what I mean? It's not just me. The Bengals are not looking very good right now. The Browns are the Browns. The Steelers, okay, they're going to be tough, but they're probably not going to... the Steelers are tough no matter what. I mean, they were even above 500 when they had Mason Rudolph for quarterback, for goodness sake. So, that's exactly what you're going to get from the Steelers. But it doesn't mean that they're going to win the division. The Browns. If you told me the Browns won the division this year, I don't know what I would do, because that's just absurd. And the Bengals, I mean, entering the season, I thought, okay, the Bengals, I think, are going to have a little bit of a decline and a little bit of a step back from last year. But not like this. Not to the extent that they have. Because they have just, I mean, it's not good. The AFC East, the Bills, look like they might be able to go off for an unbeaten season. And I know they won't, because that's just incredibly difficult to do. But they are, without a doubt, the best team in the league right now. The Dolphins, they've got a strong group of fighters. I mean, they were down by so many points in week 2, and as much as it pains me to say, they did not give up. They came back, and, you want to make fun of Tua turn the ball over. No, it's Tua throw the ball 1,100 yards and throw it for 6 touchdowns and take a team on his back and come from behind and win a game on the road. Lavoa. You can call him that from now on, because he went out and proved himself in week 2. And no, the Ravens defense didn't play all that great. That is 150% correct. I'm not going to disagree with you at all on that. But the Dolphins at least went out and didn't fight, and didn't lay down. I should say they did fight, because you get down 28-7, and how many teams are going to say, okay, we're done. Just go out there and just try to score or whatever. But they did not give up. And the Patriots and Jets, okay, they won in week 2. But let's not get too crazy yet, okay? The Patriots beat the Steelers, and the Jets beat the Browns. Okay. That's, not much I can really say on that. back to the Dolphins. I mean, I think right now the Bills are definitely still 100% the favorite to win the division. But the Dolphins right now, I mean, they're a playoff team. I don't know what else to tell you right now. They're a playoff team. And until, I don't know if this is a matter of so many times when teams get off to a great start to a season, there are some teams that are for real. And there are some teams where it's only a matter of time until the rest of the league figures them out. And then after that figuring out stage happens, the team struggles. For the Dolphins, I don't know if you can figure this team out. I'm not sure yet. We'll see. But I'm not sure. They might be for real. They might not be. There's still a little bit more work to do to fully prove themselves, especially with so much new, right? So many new faces in that franchise. The coach, wide receivers, running backs. I mean, the list goes on for how many new faces are in that franchise. So it's hard to tell week 2, 2 weeks in the season, whether or not they're going to be some legit team or not. Only played 2 games. I need to see more from them. The AFC South. I mean, 3 years ago, the NFC East was the dumpster fire of the NFL. This year's the AFC South. Because the Jaguars might win the division. And that sounds crazy, but it's true. And you can't even really tell me that, like, again, it sounds crazy, but you look at that division and it's not totally out of, like, it's possible. It really is. The Texans are not an easy out. Somehow, is Lovie Smith better than we all thought? Again, they've only played 2 games. Who knows? But the Texans are not going to win the division. The Colts are collapsing faster than a hay house in the Three Little Pigs. Matty Ice has melted. It's time for him to retire. The offensive line is one of the more terrible offensive lines I've seen in the league this year so far. And their defense is, they have a few good players, but it hasn't amounted to much. And the Titans need to quickly figure things out, or Malik Willis is going to be starting, halfway into the season. There's only 4 teams in the division, and those 3 aren't looking so strong, and, Jaguars might just win by default. And it sounds crazy, but it's entirely possible. The AFC West. The Chargers' success lays solely on Justin Herbert's health. The fractured rib cartilage or whatever's going on with his rib, if that's going to be a serious injury, they're going to have to rely on their defense. And there was a joke earlier today that I saw, and I don't know if anybody else had seen this, but there was, you go to this dollar store or Walmart or whatever, and, everybody flosses. You either have the little handheld, things, or you get a roll of floss. And, on the bottom of the container it says, however many feet or whatever it is. And there was this one picture of one that said 44 yards of floss. And Austin Eckler had less than 40 yards in each of his first 2 weeks this season. So the joke was that this roll of floss had more yards than Austin Eckler did this in each of his first 2 games. So the running game hasn't gotten off to necessarily a great start. The defense has been good. I wouldn't say the defense has been as awesome as I thought they'd be, but they also played 2. The Chiefs are dominant. I'll get to that in a minute. And then they played the Raiders, who are a division rival, always going to play tough. Again, 2 games into the season, we're going to have to wait and see on a lot of these things. It's just preliminary throwing things out there as to what I've seen so far. But if Herbert is not healthy, you can take all of that and get rid of it, because it doesn't matter if you don't have Justin Herbert. And because it's not, I'm sorry, but Chase Daniel is not going to just pick right up where Herbert leaves off. That's just not the case. The Chiefs are making a strong case to be a contender this year once again. And no Tyreek, no Tyrann Mathieu, no problem. It doesn't matter. Because they're coming out and they're honestly looking stronger than they did last year. That was the thing for them last year, was that so many people knocked how they got off to such a bad start. And they thought, the Chiefs have been figured out. Mahomes is done. Andy Reid had, his fluke few years with the Chiefs, and now it's it. This year they came out and they made sure that they were not going to make the same mistake they did last year. They're coming out this season having 2 of the better games anybody can point to, and they are eliminating any chance for anybody to say the Chiefs are washed and done and over. Absolutely not. The Chiefs, even without those star players they had last year in many spots, and I mean, they lost more than just those guys that I just mentioned. It's all, it doesn't matter. It's hocus pocus. It's just, the side, the sideshow. They lost all this. They're trying to distract you, the NFL media. Dude, they lost this, they lost that. They're 2-0, and they've played 2 of the better games out of any team in the league this year. I mean, they went and dominated the Cardinals. They went and beat a Chargers team who was, I still think the Chargers are very good. So the Chiefs are making a strong case and eliminating any chance for anybody to doubt them. The Raiders, on the other hand, as I mentioned opening the segment, when you'd like to be able to say jackpot for them, it's more like a flush at this moment, and they have to be feeling very frustrated where you go out, you get Devontae Adams, you keep Darren Waller, you keep Hunter Renfrow, Derek Carr is back, Josh Jacobs. I mean, you went and added to your team, and yes, you lost Mack was on the Bears. I don't even know what I'm talking about. But, they may have lost minimal players in some minimal roles, but overall you went out and got better in the offseason. And to be starting off 0-2, you played a very good Chargers team week 1, and then you blow the lead against the Cardinals in week 2. It has to be frustrating for sure. And at 0-2, you hear so many times that, if you start 0-2, 10% of those teams ever have made the playoffs or whatever the number is, right? Point being, you start off 0-2, it's not looking good for you and your chance to make the playoffs. I mean, even at 0-2 for the Raiders, I'm not counting them out. I'm not saying, their season is over. But it's close. They're in the very similar boat with the Bengals, where this upcoming week is about as close as it gets to a must-win. And as for the Broncos country is not doing so well right now. The burner has been turned off. Russ can't cook, and instead the Broncos are getting cooked. Their season might already be cooked, and they're going to be lucky if they can even contend for a wild card spot this season. Because let's run through this whole AFC one more time. You've got division winners, and let's say the Bills win the AFC East, Ravens win the AFC North. Let's go crazy and say the Jaguars win the AFC South, and then the AFC West, the Chiefs win, right? You've got 3 wildcard spots. Dolphins, at this point, I would like to say that they would take up one of them. Chargers, if Herbert's healthy, would probably take up a second wildcard spot. And then that third wildcard spot is going to come down to an incredible comeback from the Bengals, Titans, or Raiders, which is not very likely, but or the off chance that even the Colts might figure things out. There's that possibility still. We're early on in the season. So it's going to be tough because they didn't look good against Seattle, and they didn't look very good against Houston, and that's pretty much all we can really draw from right now on this very new-looking team. It's going to be difficult for them to make the playoffs if they keep playing like this, is the point. Over to the NFC East. The Eagles might just be the NFC frontrunners right now. And let me just rewind that for you. NFC frontrunners. Not NFC East, but NFC frontrunners. Check that. In fact, I know the Eagles are the NFC frontrunners right now after that dominating performance on Monday Night Football last night. The Giants are 2-0, but who cares? They played the Titans and the Panthers. Great. Facing Dallas in Week 3 is going to not even really still have me sold either way. If they lose, then I might be saying, well, that really tells us all we need to know about them. If they win, they're still moving in the right direction, but there will still be more work for them to do and more that I need to see from them before I can start getting crazy about the Giants maybe making the playoffs. That just sounds a little crazy and stupid right now. The Cowboys season might not actually be over, as it turns out. But there's definitely still a very, 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 very tall hill to climb for them. And the only thing that the Commanders will be commanding this year is the couch come playoff time. And Riverboat Ron, the riverboat, might be sinking and coming to an end this year. And I'm sorry, but I just don't... I don't see the Commanders doing anything of worth this year. NFC South. The Saints are not exactly off to the start that I was expecting them to get off to. And sure, there's the whole issue with, Winston's hurt a little bit and all that stuff, but you still have Alvin Kamara. And I know I think he was out week 2. But, even with a hurt quarterback, there are ways to work around that, and you go out and you get Tyrann Mathieu. And they still didn't look all that great against the Falcons or the Bucs, for that matter. The Panthers need to fire Matt Rule. It's not they might need to, or he's on the hot seat. It's over. You need to fire him. The room for, the patience game, it's over. Get rid of him. Because you unable to beat the Browns and unable to beat the Giants, a Giants team that kicked 4 field goals, you can't beat that team. I mean, what else do you want me to say? The Bucs, very similar to they're much better right now than the Jaguars. If you want to completely, face-to-face look at those teams, but the Buccaneers might win the division just by default because nobody else is going to. The Falcons surely won't, and the Falcons are not, they're not as bad as they were last year. They're not the laughing stock of the league anymore, but let's not kid ourselves. They're not going to win the division, okay? Let's just get that straight. NFC West. Kyler Murray and the Cardinals may not have gotten off to the best start week 1, but they showed in week 2 that they will fight no matter what. Question is, how long can they keep that fight up? Will Hollywood Brown be able to learn how to catch some balls? He dropped that one in overtime. That was pretty comical, I thought. He's going to be playing some teams in Hollywood, in LA this year. So he's going to need to, if he wants to keep that Hollywood nickname, he better learn how to catch the darn football. The Rams could definitely be better. For sure. But again, Cardinals, I'm not confident in their ability to win the division. 49ers and Seahawks probably won't either. Rams, again, might just win the division by default. 49ers, Trey Lance, out for the season due to injury. Garoppolo's in. I love it. I'm all in. 49ers are back. Because I, checked the score this past week, and I saw that they were up 20-0, and I thought, no way. No way is Trey Lance actually playing well. Come to my attention that Trey Lance got hurt, and it was Garoppolo that was leading the 49ers to a very good game. As for the Seahawks hype is over. They won week 1, and everybody was thinking, oh man, they might not be able, they may not be a team that you can write off. That hype is over. So now they have Garoppolo at the helm for the Niners. Hey, the 49ers might be a wild card team. Let's not get crazy. Let's wait and see how well they play in the next few games. And as for the NFC North, the Vikings played awful last night. Let's get that out of the way. They played awful. A really, really bad game. They can play better than that. And they proved that in week 1. They did. They proved that. And Kirk Cousins didn't have a good game at all. Was awful, terrible, dreadful. All those synonyms that you want to throw out there. If he could just place the ball better and some of his receivers could make some catches, that would have been a close game. But it wasn't. And will that kind of hang over the Vikings for the rest of the season? Will they have that? Are they still going to be that team that can't beat the elite and good teams and top dogs? Are they still going to be that team this year? We'll find out. The Vikings, don't count them out yet. They had one really good game and one really bad game. Do they balance each other out? I'm not sure. But we'll see. We will see. The Packers, they're going to hang around. They're going to do what they do every year. And the Lions, man, they got nothing to lose and everything to prove. They're motoring right along for possibly a decent season. Everybody was calling for Dan Campbell to be fired and Jared Goff to be traded and tear the whole thing up and start over. Nah, no way. They're going to go ahead, do what they are doing right now, and they're a team, again, possible dark horse for a wild card spot. Again, let's not get too ahead of ourselves There's a lot of football yet to be played. And the Bears, it's ugly. Oh, it's ugly for the Bears. Soldier Field, not the only field that they need to replace, as the Bears need to replace Justin Fields as well. It's just not going to work out with Justin Fields. 2 fields that the Bears need to replace, Soldier Field and Justin Fields. Other than that, not really a whole lot I can say about them.